Welcome to Lakeside Primary School's interactive virtual learning space. Learn more about our school's history, signature programs, and our unique Lakeside experience through our school. Discover our school's exciting journey through the years and learn more about our heritage and legacy. Our motto is to be our best. What does a responsible leader look like in our school? Or what would You're doing great so far. You're doing great so far. Keep it up. It's okay if you make a mistake. Let's try again. It's okay if you make a mistake. Let's try again.
Very good afternoon, parents, and welcome to our 2023 Parents Connection session. We're so glad that you're able to join us this afternoon, and we hope that this session will be informative and helpful for you. Let me just start to share screen. And take you through today's session. Okay, so you are here for the Parents Connection session. If you are a primary 1 to 3 parent, this is the right session for you. And for today's program, we have my address with you, followed by a briefing session on the EduSafe Merit Bursary and the EduSafe Good Progress Award by my VP. Then we'll move on to the next segment, which is a Q&A session. Let's begin with my address. I'd like to begin by thanking you and appreciating you, parents, because without you as partners in the education of your children, what we do is not possible. So really, the first step is to have you join us in this session so that we are able to communicate some of our goals and our vision and our mission. So really, homeschool partnership is so important. And we begin by sharing with you our vision, mission, and values. I know for some of you may be familiar with this, but I think it's important for us to reiterate it yearly. Our vision, lifelong learner, and a virtuous leader. This is what we hope our children, after 6 years with Lakeside, will become. And we do that by providing a quality education to nurture wholesome individuals. Our Lakeside values, we use the acronym of Lakeside Pride, L for love, P for perseverance, R for responsibility, I for integrity, D for diligence, and E is the heart of respect. If you can refer to the student handbook and talk to your children about the values that have been discussed in school or the stories that have been shared in relation to these values. Learning dispositions. What do we like our children to be like when they're learning? Or what kind of learning dispositions would we like them to have? We like them to be critical thinkers, creative problem solvers, responsible leaders, active contributors, and confident communicators. And if you look at the skills that are required in the future, when your children are in the working world, these are the skills and the learning dispositions that will be required for them to be successful. Themes, these are the last 4 themes that we've had since 2018 to 2022, and we celebrated our 20th anniversary just last year with the last theme of soaring in synergy, growing in gratitude. Each theme helps us to focus our staff and our students' efforts and energies according to that theme. And this year, 2023, our theme is, I'm sure you've noticed the banners when you come to the foyer, you drop off your kids, or at the traffic light. Our theme is take charge, make a positive difference. What does that mean? Your children have been spoken to about the theme and what it means to make a positive difference. Not just any difference, but a positive one. It doesn't have to be a big project or a big impact. We're talking about making a difference in their daily interactions, such that in their words and actions, they will touch the lives of the people, the friends, the teachers that they come into contact with. It also means living out this theme through their lives, role modeling, and live it out like a story. We also shared with our children that when you come into contact or interact with others, you can leave a positive impact or a negative one, or a neutral one. We would like them to leave a positive impact behind. So we talk about imprints that we leave behind. And making a positive difference is something that every child can take charge of and own it. For them to believe that everyone, whether you're a primary 1 child or a primary 3 or a primary 6 child, you can make a difference. So that's what we've shared with them. And to do that, we need to be intentional, plan to make that difference. Think about how you can make that difference. And we encourage them when they look into making a positive difference, they are writing out the stories of their lives. We provide for our students in Lakeside, every single child who walks in that gate, we provide a unique Laker Total School experience. What does that mean? Look at 4 main areas. We provide that caring and enabling environment, and that includes the physical environment where they are allowed to explore and experiment, and the psychosocial environment where it's safe to be able to voice their views, where it's safe to be themselves. The second one we're looking at is relationships. Relationships are very important to our children, be it with friends or relationship with their teachers. And we set out to nurture supportive relationships. And they play a part. How do I be a good friend? What does it mean to be a supportive friend to my peers, to my classmates? Thirdly, we do not only focus on the cognitive development. There are other aspects, other domains that we are also focused on. For example, the social, moral domain, the aesthetics domain, the physical domain. We are looking at the development of a holistic curriculum. So we are growing and developing whole children, whole individuals, not skewed towards the cognitive or focus on grades. Lastly, teaching and learning, very important. We are a school and we focus on strengthening quality teaching and learning so that our children can be engaged and enjoy learning and continue to be curious about the environment and the workings of the environment around them. So this is how we plan and design the Laker Total School experience for our children. Homeschool partnership is very close to our hearts, and especially partnership with you, parents, because if we do it right, we are aligned, then your children will flourish. I just want to remind us on the different channels of communication. There are so many channels of communication, and if you need to contact or clarify or just get in touch with our teachers, you can call us, call the school, leave your number, and do be understanding that our teachers may take time to call you back because they are usually in the classroom with your children. If you need to, you can also contact or leave a message for our year heads or our department heads or the form teachers, depending on the area that you are clarifying or concerned about. Email is another channel that you can get in touch with us. Write an email. We look at our generic email right here, our Lakeside Primary School email. We clear it every day, but we may take some time to get back to you. 3 days, we will get back to you. School website is another channel where you are able to connect with us. So I just like to share with you, for example, if you've forgotten all that we've shared with you here, the how to contact who, it's all on our website under the tab of contact us. All numbers, our email, or if you want to, we made it very convenient for you to give us feedback or to just find out, inquire about something that you want to, please click on the Your Feedback Matters tab, and it will bring you to this form where you can fill in very quickly, and we will also revert to you. So we hope that with this partnership, we are able to nourish, develop, and grow your child, because it takes a village to raise a child. And you are part of that village, and you are important in this partnership, in the educational journey of each and every one of our children. With that, I want to thank you, and we will move on to the next segment where my Vice Principal, Ms. Tan Hui Ping, will brief you on the EduSave Merit Bursary and the EduSave Good Progress Award. Ms. Tan, please.
Okay, good afternoon, parents. I am now calling up my slides. Okay, I hope you can see it in a while. Okay. Okay, I hope you can see my slides. Okay, thank you, parents, for joining us this afternoon. Very quickly, I will tell you a little bit more about the EduSave Merit Bursary, also EMB, as well as the EduSave Good Progress Award for P2 and P3. The awards, the EMB and the GPA are MOE awards, and they allow us to celebrate the students' learning milestones and encourage progress and efforts throughout the year. We also want to recognize the importance of learning from young. If our students can learn the positive behavior and attitudes early, it will help them to be more successful in school, and certainly will have many more positive school experiences. The table here shows the criteria for both the EMB award as well as the Good Progress Award. For the EMB for P1 and P2, as well as the Good Progress Award for P2 and P3s, we are looking for students who can consistently demonstrate and show the good learning dispositions in the course of the year. I think earlier, Mrs. Goh have also mentioned what the learning dispositions are. I think for P3 EMB Award, it is based on their end of year performance. And these info will be pulled from the school cockpit system. Other criteria will be Singapore citizen. Conduct is a very important criteria we always look at. And for the EMB, there's also a minimum household income criteria as shown in the table. Okay, so what are learning dispositions? Let me go into a little bit more detail. So learning dispositions are positive behaviors and attitudes that students can learn and adopt when they engage in learning in all school experiences, not just in the academic areas, but also in other areas like PEL, music, art, PE lessons, and other school events and activities. So CCA being another example. So they shape our students' growth and are aligned to our school mission, vision, strategic plan, and values. So in this changing and more unpredictable and dynamic landscape, we are hearing more and more about 21 CC competencies, as well as being future ready. So these are very important, and therefore they are also aligned and included into our learning dispositions. Our hope is to develop future ready Lakers who are independent and are able to take on the challenges in life in future. Okay, the learning dispositions align to our vision of lifelong learner and virtuous leader. I think earlier Mrs. Goh has mentioned, so critical thinker, creative problem solver, as well as active contributor is aligned to our lifelong learner. And for virtuous leader, there are two LDs, responsible leader and confident communicators. So at the start of the year, the teachers will have gone through the various learning dispositions with the students. And throughout the year, the teachers will be revisiting and reminding the students about them. We have unpacked them into simple behavior statements to make it easier for the students to understand and therefore are able to demonstrate the learning dispositions. They are found on page 14 and 15 of the student handbook. So if your child is at home now, just take a look at their student handbook. So all these behaviors are stated and unpacked on page 14 and 15. In this table, I've given you one example for active contributor. So we have also broken it down by the different levels for P1, P2, P3, P4, and P5, P6. And the expected behaviors are also progressive as the child becomes older over the 6 years. Yeah, so how are learning dispositions assessed? So teachers, one way is through teachers' feedback. So over the year, the form and co-form teachers will have sufficient opportunities to observe the students. At the same time, we also gather inputs from the various subject teachers, as well as the student development team ICs of the various levels, the year heads, as well as the assistant year heads. Okay, so on top of that, we actually have a student feedback as well. So time has been set aside for every student to reflect on their own behaviors and attitudes. So this self-feedback is done and is filed in their My Learning Journey file. So you will definitely receive feedback from the teachers as well as from your children themselves about how they are performing in terms of the learning dispositions. So at the end of the year, the evaluation will be done. And then from there, the students for the 2 awards will be identified. Yeah, okay, I've come to the end of my sharing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Tan. We'll move on to the next segment of Q&A. And I'd like to take some time to introduce our panel. So we'll begin. I have my vice principal, you've met her, Ms. Tan Hui Ping.
Hello.
The second vice principal, Ms. Charmaine Han.
Good afternoon, parents.
My year head for lower primary, Madam Lo Tan Hong.
Good afternoon.
My assistant year head for primary 3, Mrs. Lim Siu Pei.
Good afternoon.
My level head for English language, Mrs. VJ.
Good afternoon, parents.
My level head for math, Mrs. NG Cheng.
Hi, good afternoon.
Level head for science, Ms. Matani.
Good afternoon, parents.
Subject head for Tamil language, Mrs. Kumar.
Good afternoon, parents.
Subject head for Malay language, Madam Noraida.
Hello, parents. Good afternoon.
My head of department for PE and CCA, Mr. Roslan.
Hi all.
Okay, let's begin with some of the questions. Some of our parents, you have submitted questions where we have collated earlier on. I would like to encourage you, if you do have questions after the briefing or about the level, any level matters, do submit them through the Q&A function below. And we will try to answer some of your questions. Let me begin with questions that have been submitted earlier. First question on curriculum matters, specifically mother tongue. Question goes like this: how will the students be allocated to their mother tongue classes? You're aware that our children will go to different mother tongue classes, although they are in the same form class, they may be going to different mother tongue classes. I'd like to invite Mrs. Kumar to answer this question, please. Mrs. Kumar, please.
Okay, let me start my video. Unable to, hold on now. Okay, maybe I just answer first, yeah? I can't bring up my video. Okay, for the class allocations at P2 and P3 levels, students are actually grouped according to the learning outcomes displayed by them at P1 and P2 levels respectively. So that's their last year's performance. And we know that there are no formal weighted assessments in P1 and P2. So these learning outcomes were observed through daily teachers' observations and through all the non-weighted assessment tasks which were carried out periodically throughout the year. And based on the abilities shown, they are grouped together so that teachers can tailor our teaching to best suit the students' learning needs. So that's for P2, P3. And at P1 level, we do carry out a diagnostic test in the first few days of mother tongue lessons to check students' speaking and reading skills to roughly gauge how much they can understand mother tongue before we allocate them to their respective permanent P1 mother tongue classes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Kumar. Our next question for P2, P3 parents. How will the students be allocated to P3 classes? Parents are very interested in how our children are sorted or allocated to classes. Can I invite Mrs. Lim, AYH for P3 to answer this question?
Thank you for the question. Okay, there are some criteria that the school will consider when allocating the P2 students to the P3 classes. So we'll look at the academic, non-academic, and also the class compositions. So there are no examinations or weighted assessment in primary 2, as the parents know. All right, so the school will then consider the skills and the knowledge in the subject areas, as well as the attainment of the subject-specific learning objectives of our students. The dynamic of the students, which will be a good mix of gender, okay, the boys and the girls, as well as their learning dispositions in subject areas such as non-core subject like physical education, music, social studies, will also be taken into consideration. Hope I've answered your question. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Lim. Okay, next question is on the EduSafe Character Award for P2s and 3s. Here the question is how to achieve the EduSafe Character Award? Can I invite my Vice Principal, Ms. Tan, to address this question?
Yeah, hello again. I think besides the EMB and the GPA that I shared earlier, there's this other EduSafe Character Award, also known affectionately to many people as the ECA. It's also an MOE award, and it recognizes students who have been exemplary in their character, who has consistently shown positive behaviors and actions. So in Lakeside, we want to develop the good character in our students through our school values. So we are looking out for students who are able to constantly display our school values, our pride, love, perseverance, responsibility, integrity, diligence, and respect. We are also looking for students who have shown resilience to overcome the challenges they might face, could be in school, could be at home, as well as those who have shown strong civil-mindedness through their involvement in service to others. It could be in school, in class, at home, and even in the larger community. So just like our 2023 theme, right? Take charge, make a difference. So we are looking for students who have made a difference to those that are around them. Previous nominations include a student who was a very good buddy to a student who has some learning needs. It really talks about how the boy is able to work with his classmates, help the classmates when the classmate is stressed. Another example, or a CCA example, a student who is, even though not a CCA leader, he was nominated by many of his peers because he was their forever cheerleader. So when they are down, he will always be there to encourage them, to nudge them on. And when the team is doing well, he will also be there to share in their joy, because sometimes he doesn't really get to play, but yet his presence is felt by his teammates because he's always there for them. So these are some examples of students who have been nominated. So the process itself involves a series of evaluations, starting with nominations by their peers, by their teachers, and even parents. Parents are also involved too. Many things could happen at home that we are not aware of. So we are very thankful when parents actually get involved in the nomination as well, and share with us some of the wonderful things that our students are also doing at home to make a difference. So thereafter, the final awardees will go through a group interview with an interview panel, and the panel will comprise of student leaders, teachers, school leaders, as well as representatives from the school advisory committee and our parent support group. So it's quite a thorough and rigorous process. And I think over the years, we are very thankful that and proud that we have had many deserving awardees. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Tan. Just to let you know, not to worry if we are not able to respond to your question today. We will be able to collate all the questions and respond in the answers so that you will get your answers. Or we may get in touch with you if it's a specific need that's required. Okay, there are quite a few of you who are asking about the start of CCA for primary threes. Right, I'd like to ready my HOD for PE and CCA, Mr. Roslan. Question, when will P3 start their CCA? Parents are excited for them to join. Okay, and maybe you could also share about how we allocate the CCAs to the students. Mr. Roslan, please.
Hi, good afternoon, parents. Okay, the P3 CCA will commence in term 2. And before that, you have to go through a selection. But of course, as I think we're trying to go back to pre-COVID time, whereby we invite you over to school. So you have some CCA experience that you can walk around and see performance and of course displays of our CCAs in Lakeside. That will be happening in term 1 week 9. You will get your message through PG soon. So after you go through the CCA experience, then you will choose your CCA. And of course, there are CCA who have a cap because it's then we'll have to do balloting for that particular CCA. It's not a first come first serve. Yeah. And there are CCA who you can take more and definitely easier for your child to get in. Yeah. Of course, at the end of the day, you have to choose with your child. The last thing we want is you choose a CCA where your child don't like. Let's not do that. So I hope you listen to what your child needs, and yeah, and hopefully they can have fun in the next 3 years in their CCA. So we will be starting around term 2, week 1, hopefully. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Roslan. Okay, let's move on to another question on English or language, right? My child is weak in open-ended comprehension. What can I do to support my child in this area? So this is an involved parent who wants to help support. Can I invite Mrs. Vijay to respond to this question, please?
Thank you for the question. It will be good if you can remind your child of the purpose when reading the text. The aim should be to read for understanding and not to actually just answer the comprehension questions. So if your child focuses on answering the questions, they may tend to skim through the text and search only for the necessary information, and they might not be able to read the text with understanding. So while there are many strategies that work for comprehension, I will share a few points with you which you might want to try. So first up, encourage your child not to look at the comprehension questions at the back when you're trying out a compre piece with your child. Have your child look at the text and read it independently the first time. They can, of course, they're familiar with annotation for the upper primary, right? Threes. So what they can do is they can annotate on the text to track their thinking. Also draw arrows to show links between parts of the text. Sometimes they may have some questions in mind which will occur while they're reading, so they can put them down by the side so that they can make inferences or draw connections to the text. Circling words may be something else that will be useful for them where they come across words that are difficult to understand. And this is when they would have to look for clues within the text to make sense of the word. And we do encourage the children to make connections with the text by sharing with you what he or she is reminded of when reading the text. It may be a familiar experience that your child may have had, so they can have that conversations with you. And all these will aid in getting a better understanding of the text, okay? So then you can ask your child to look at the questions as they process the text again. So they could use elements of thought. For example, what's the character doing? What was his purpose or her purpose in doing so? What are the implications of the actions? And if there are unfamiliar words, you can talk about how to figure out the meaning of the word based on the clues that are given. Thereafter, you will look at the questions. Once your child has gained an understanding of the text, then he or she will be in a better position to answer the questions more easily. Okay, so, and it'll be easier for them to identify where the answers should come from. And the next step would be to ensure that the answer is written in a grammatically correct sentence, all right, which is clear and unambiguous. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Vijay. Okay, there are also questions on mother tongue language. I'm looking at the live questions submitted at 4:33 on how a primary one student who is weak in mother tongue, and how will they blend in during lessons, or perhaps how can I support as parent, how can I support my child in the learning of the mother tongue language. Can I invite Madam Noraida, subject head for Malay language, to respond to that? And it applies to all mother tongue language, be it Chinese or Malay or Tamil. Madam Noraida, please.
Hi, okay, I'm trying to open my camera.
4:33.
Yeah, okay. Hi, I'm trying to open my camera, but I'm unable to. It's okay. I just answered the question. Okay, so child is struggling with mother tongue, right? Because took mother tongue Chinese in preschool. Okay, as I think Madam Arasi or Mrs. Kumar actually mentioned that at primary one, we do have a diagnostic test at the beginning of the year. So this test is actually to help us identify students who may struggle or do not have the strong foundation for mother tongue when they come into primary one. So they are channeled to the different mother tongue classes, and the teachers will actually tailor their teaching to suit the student learning. So we actually help to close the gap for the students. And don't worry, at primary one, we do accept them as ground zero. So we provide all the necessary foundation for the students. Just to know that at lower primary, the emphasis is given to speaking and listening skills to build the foundation for the language. So for yourself, the supportive environment will encourage them to start speaking in mother tongue. So do expose your child to mother tongue language, encourage them to speak the language, watch maybe TV programs in mother tongue language, listen to radio channels at mother tongue language. There's a lot of educational program, children educational program playing at TV, television. Some children prefer YouTube. You can also expose them to that, but be very selective that they are educational and in mother tongue. Do ask them what they have learned at home and school. When they go home, ask them what they have learned in school, and then check with the mother tongue teachers as well. So you can also support your child at home. I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Noraida. Okay, let's pick another question on swimming classes. All right, I think I see more than one on that same question, 434. Okay, and further up, I've also seen one on swimming classes. Will there be swimming for primary threes like it used to? Mr. Roslan, would you like to take that question, please, Mr. Roslan?
Okay. Regarding the swimming, due to COVID, we have a backlog of level to complete the Swim Safer program. So currently, working very closely with MOE or the HQ to allow us to complete 2 levels per year. So currently in 2023, we are completing P6 and P5. And hopefully, if things still the same, in 2024, we will try to complete the P5 and P4. So by 2025, we hopefully can get back to primary 3. So the P4 and P3 will do that year. Yeah, so currently, your P3 children will not have Swim Safer. Sorry about that. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Roslan. So give us some time, parents. COVID has put on hold swimming, and therefore we need to make sure that our students who are about to graduate will be given the Swim Safer and therefore have a basic swimming skill. So I hope that you will understand. We appeal to your understanding. Your children will also have the chance to participate in the Swim Safer program. Okay, let's move on to a question that was submitted earlier on P2 level. How do teachers, actually it applies to all levels, yeah? How do teachers determine the personal qualities of a student in P2? Can I invite Madam Loh, your head for lower primary, to respond to that question?
Thank you for the question. Our school has moved from developing personal qualities to developing learning dispositions. As shared by Ms. Tan, learning dispositions are positive learning behaviors and attitudes. So our 5 learning dispositions are aligned to the 21st CC skills and our school's vision and our values. So as the students go through a variety of experiences throughout the year, these experiences become very good opportunities and platforms for the teachers to observe these learning dispositions in the students. So this way, the teachers can give timely feedback to the students and observe their behaviors and action and choices during these opportunities. So students will, as a result, have a very good understanding of their learning and how to plan out what they want to improve on in future and also reflect on their own growth and development. So there are different platforms and ways that the feedback is given to the students and the parents. And these observations are not only based on one teacher's observation. It's actually a collated feedback of the subject teachers teaching the class. And this collated feedback will actually encourage the growth in the students so that they will be able to plan forward and see what works for them the best. And this feedback will be shared during a few platforms. Firstly, it is the parent-teacher conversations, like the parent-teacher meeting that we will have sometime in term 2. And also, we do give the feedback in a learning disposition feedback form. This will be actually filed into the My Journey file. So for P2 to P6, they will be bringing back the file semestrally. But however, for the P1s, they will only be bringing it back in term 4, because we wanted to give them more opportunities and time to experience the fun learning activities in school. So as the students bring the journey file back, we would like to encourage parents to generate conversations with your children and get them to share the feedback given by the teachers and them. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Low. That's a very comprehensive answer to that question. Let's look at a question from the Q&A live at 4:33. Question about how teachers prepare the students to get ready for next year's exams, probably a P2 or a P2 student. Also, perhaps I could invite Mrs. Cheng to respond to this and share how teachers or the school prepare the students for termly reviews and the year-end exams, and how these to take into consideration that because P1 and P2 there are no exams, right? So that the children may not know what exams are and that they are, how important they are. Yeah. So Mrs. Cheng, please.
Thank you, Mrs. Goh. And thank you to the parent who asked that question. All right, so actually through our daily interaction with the children, the learning experiences that we go through in class, the teachers do have ongoing gathering of the feedback of the students' learning. And also through the questions, the work assigned, group work and observations, we are able to understand their learning progress. So feedback is given to the child in the form of comments on their written work, grades or marks on their class-based assignments, and of course, verbal feedback to the student and to the parents as well. Okay, so how do we prepare them for exams? Of course, the good habits such as annotation, answering clearly and writing neatly should be practiced in the daily work and applied during examinations. So even if the child is in P2 and there's no year-end exams, right? These good habits would be cultivated through the year, and it would be helpful as they progress to P3 and have to take the exam at the end of the year. Of course, at P3 as well, before they take their first formal examination, we do also conduct a briefing, okay, to highlight the important points to note during the examination so that we can prepare the child before he or she goes to sit for the exam. Okay, so through the year, good habits to be practiced, and then we don't also put too much stress on the child as we lead them up to the formal examination. Okay, thank you, Mrs. Goh.
Thank you, Mrs. Cheng. So for parents, just in case you are not aware, we are answering your questions. We have a whole team behind this. Some of you will get your questions answered directly, written, typed out. Some of us, we take it live and we answer it here. So take a look at the responses in different ways. Our next question would be on moving on to P3, where science is a new subject for the primary threes. And how can, as a parent, can I support or prepare or help my child learn better in science? Ms. Ma, would you like to take that question, please, Ms. Ma?
Sure. Thank you for the question. To support your child, you can start by encouraging your child to ask questions and pursue answers. Of course, you can also ask your child questions and engage them in conversations around the things they observe. They can observe things like the plants or the animals in their neighborhood, to look at the characteristics of different types of plants and how the animals move. Simple questions such as, what do you see? How does this work? And what makes you say that can actually lead your child to better understanding of the world around them. You can also provide your child with science learning resources such as books, magazines, online videos, relevant videos, as well as educational toys, educational kits. You can also learn and explore science together with your child to help them to foster interest and to experience the joy of learning. On top of that, you can also provide opportunities for your child to learn science at home. You can engage them in household activities such as doing household chores together or even repairing a household item together. This can help your child to develop their creative and critical thinking skills as well as their problem-solving skills. If possible, you can also bring them to the zoo, to the parks, or the science center to learn more about science. I hope you find some of these ways helpful in supporting your child in your child's learning of science. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ma. On the same topic of transition from P2 to P3, not only are they having a new subject of science, transiting from P2 to P3 may be something of concern as well to parents. I'd like to invite my VP, Ms. Han, to respond to the question of how can parents help to transit our P2 students to P3.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for the question. I am having some trouble starting my video as well, but I will. Okay, there you go.
It'll take some time, yeah. Okay.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Yeah, certainly moving on from P2 to P3 there is a lot to look forward to, taking up a new subject like science, as well as the CCA experience comes in. So there is quite a lot for that parents can do to support your child in this process. Definitely being engaged with conversations, daily conversations about how school was for them, asking them to share what they have learned as a form of them recalling and reflecting on their classroom experiences. That will be another way to inculcate that good habit of reflection and consolidation of learning. And we spoke a little bit about termly reviews earlier, so not to belabor the point, but yeah, the termly reviews will provide parents as well as the learners and teachers good timely feedback that then can be acted on and followed up. So do take those feedback into consideration and look at them and talk to your child in terms of what can be done to either reinforce their learning or close certain gaps. But at the same time, really, we are talking about facilitating joyful learning experiences for them. And it starts with really encouraging curiosity, getting them to ask questions, getting them to also maybe independently think about how they can find answers to their questions. So a lot of habit formation, as well as maybe looking into daily routines that will help them then be ready and prepared for their learning as they progress. So perhaps looking into after school schedule, like what they can do independently so that they can also gradually grow in their responsibility and independence, that would be good. Getting your child to pack their bags and to check their timetables and come to school ready with all their learning materials, that will be another way to encourage greater ownership and independence in the learning. Yes, I hope that answers the question. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Han. Okay, I think that's feedback, panelists, to speak up a little bit. They can't hear some of you. You tend to be a little bit soft. So we take note of that and we will speak up a little bit louder, especially for the panelists. Okay, let's look at another question. Okay, there's a question on on P2 level. If the form teacher is not taking the class of any of the core, doesn't take the form class, any of the core subjects, how will a child seek help if he encounters a problem or a bullying? How do we encourage our children to seek help? Yeah, so can I invite my lower primary year head, Madam Low, to respond to that, please?
Thank you for the question. Yeah, so for For the lower primary children, it is very important for us to equip the children with the skills and knowledge for them to play safely and positively. That means having the positive friendship skills with their friends, especially when they are playing on their own during recess time or during off curriculum hours. So we do teach our children explicitly on how to make friends and how to speak up when they are facing any problems during the PE and PEL lessons. So we also encourage students to initiate play. That is why we open up our field, our basketball court for learn to play during recess times. So these platforms are actually very important for the students to develop important social skills, and then also an opportunity for them to practice the skills that they have learned through the lessons like PEL lessons and also PE lessons to prevent the antisocial or hurtful behavior from happening. So of course, if such incidents happen, we will usually remind the students to seek help immediately, especially there are teachers around on duty, and we do have our support staff on duty as well. So we want to encourage the children to seek help and quickly report the matter to the adults. And of course, with this process in place, then the teachers or the adults can start investigating the matter as soon as possible and speak to all the different parties involved, and so that we will get a clearer idea of what actually happened. Then, of course, if there are really hurtful behaviors that happen, it is important for the teachers to educate the students on the right behaviors to display. And your child may also be paired with a buddy so that the buddy can actually seek help if it's needed. So we will also like to advise parents. So if your child has gone back to tell you about an incident that happened, it will be good for you to inform the teachers immediately so that the teachers can start investigation as soon as possible. I hope it answers your question. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Low. Okay.
Can I add to the answer?
Sure. Yes.
Yeah, because very often, I think when I talk to some parents when some things happen, right? I think the important thing also is for you to help us to remind your child that should something happen, they should inform an adult immediately. It doesn't necessarily have to be the form teacher or the co-form teacher. So often we can ask the children, in fact, a lot of the children, they know what to do. They will, during recess, if you come to the school, there will be many of them coming to the general office to ask for various types of help. And it is important, I think, for parents also to tell your children to get help when they need to from the general office. Because when the child gets to talk to somebody, they will feel better after that. Otherwise, they will carry with them the unhappiness or the hurt with them all the way home. Then assuming you're not at home, they will wait for you to come back, or they will call you on the phone crying, and then you'll be wondering what happened to your child. So my message to parents always is encourage your children when something happened in school to quickly inform an adult so that we can immediately support your child and look into it. And if there's anything, definitely we will inform you and keep you informed about what's happening. Yeah, so I think that's very important. Yeah, rather than they suffer and go all the way at home and then they tell you what happened. Yeah, and then you become very lost, or you'll be very you will also be very stressed because you'll be wondering what happened, and at that time sometimes you may not be able to even get someone in school anymore because it could be nighttime. Yeah, so the earlier they seek help, the earlier we can look into the matter and support your child. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Tan. Yes, I remember at primary one orientation or the first day of school, there was a speaker who was sharing about how to help your school, your child settle into primary one, to teach them that the important place that you need to remember, or you don't know where to go to GO. So it's very important, GO, General Office. Just come in and we will have someone to help them, right? Okay, I'm looking at a question on at 4:30 on whether there are opportunities of being a class leader or a prefect, and how does that work? Okay, I don't have my PD head or student leadership head here, but I think Ms. Tan can respond to that. There are really many levels of leadership. We have class leaders, we have prefects, we have CCA leaders, and our class leaders, we have the class exco as well, and they actually go through training of what to do and what to look out for. Okay, Ms. Tan, can you elaborate on student leadership?
I think Mrs. Goh has answered part of the question already. So over here, I think leadership is one of the student leadership, self-leadership, starting from self-leadership is something that's quite important to us. And then with our team this year, we really want to also emphasize a lot more on children themselves being independent, knowing that they can take charge of their own lives and make a difference to themselves as well as to others. So for the class leader and prefect, right? If specifically prefects and class leader, so a lot of it to make it easy for the children and the parents, really we are really just looking at a few simple things: the learning dispositions, the habit and the display of the school values. So these are the things that we look out for, whether a child is able to support another peer in times of need and so on. So these are basically the criteria that we look at when we are surfacing students who are suitable for higher level of leadership, like class leader or prefects. CCA leader as well is another one. And then I think recently some of you may have, or maybe not yet, P3 maybe have. Some of you may also have received some appointment or some letter informing you that your child has been nominated as a peer support leader. So increasingly, more and more important, we also want to develop people who can look out for others and to show care for their classmates. And for all of these things, leadership is not something that is innate. So we are very deliberate to make sure that when the students do have take on some of these roles, we do provide them with the necessary training that is required, observation and so on by the teachers, giving them feedback so that they can grow in their role. Yeah. Okay,
Thank you, Ms. Tan. Opportunities are many for our children to learn leadership skills, even in their daily lives, even in the unstructured play, or self-organized play. They can actually explore some of their leadership skills that have been taught. Even through PAL project, program for active learning, to manage themselves as well as to manage themselves in a group. That's part of leadership, self-leadership. Yeah. Okay. Another question okay. This question is on a child with anger management issues, and perhaps and because of anger management issues may lead to behavioral issues as well. So this parent is interested to find out, so how can I help my child who may misbehave or has problems with anger? We're seeing some of these cases, right? Would Ms. Tan, would you like to respond to that as well?
I think my first and foremost answer would be I think it's important for us to help the child to recognize that when they are angry, it's actually okay. Because we have, experience working with a lot of children. I think when they get angry, they will also sometimes feel guilty later or feel that they have misbehaved, they have done something wrong. So I think as part of the curriculum now in the FDGP form teacher guidance period, we teach our kids about emotions. So anger being one of them. So anger is what you feel when something happened. But I think what you do after that will determine what kind of skills you have learned or you have taught. So for me, the important thing is to help the child to recognize that, yes, she's angry. Find out from your child what happened. Why is it angry? That means the trigger points are very important. So if you are able to establish the trigger points, then you will be able to talk to him, to advise him what you have, let him think through what he could have done differently and so on, to help to moderate his emotions. Then of course, there'll be certain strategies that we teach all our kids, not just those with anger management issues. So some simple things will be the breathing exercises. Yeah, so for children with anger management, we often teach them some simple things like breathing exercises, or the ones where you get them to, tap on their fingers. So as they do this, they breathe, it will help to regulate their emotions and calm them down first. So usually that's what we do with them. Then after that is to acknowledge with them that, yes, I know that you're angry, find out what happened, find out why, and then talk through with them what some of these triggers are and how they can then better manage themselves. So these are some of the things that we do with the children. It doesn't always work for every child. So that's where we have our team of support staff, like our special needs education officers, our school counselors, who can then further sit down with the kid to explore deeper what are some of the issues, and then they are also better equipped to work with the children to help them better manage their emotions. So I think it's not just anger management, it's about managing and regulating your emotions. Yeah. So perhaps if you have any, if your child is experiencing some of this, I'll advise you to come to the school, have a chat with us, because sometimes this kind of support need to be a bit more targeted. Yeah, general strategies may or may not work. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Tan. And we know that different children, different individuals actually react differently when they're angry or when they're emotional. And the best people to understand them would be yourselves, parents, and to help them journey through regulating their emotions, right? And we have in our school this program, or we call the executive functioning skills, where we teach them skills to manage themselves, and emotional regulation is one of them. Because if our children can't do that, then it will be difficult for them to settle into class or to learn well. Yeah, so yes, that's important as well. Not all angry children would misbehave or act up. Some will be very quiet. Yeah, so then what do we do and how do we respond to them? I remember my daughter would clamp up when she's angry or she's upset, and we couldn't get anything out of her. Then what? So we resorted to writing. So she would write. She would take time to think through and write and express what she's feeling, and then I will write back, because then that will give her time to process as well. So every child is different. So do engage us. Do talk to the form teachers if there are specific issues you have with your children. Okay.
Can I just add, if you go to the school website, under the resources for students, counselors corner, there are also a lot of resources and strategies there that you can refer to as well. Yeah, if you need more ideas and resources and information.
Yes, that's right. Thanks for bringing that up. That was actually a portal that's put together. There's a portal that's put together by our school counselor back then, and lots of resources and very nice videos to sit down and watch with your child and then talk through it. That's right. Thank you. Okay, a question on additional support for SEN children, special educational needs students, other than the school-based dyslexia program. There are many. We have the reading remediation program as well. We have within curriculum, the learning support program for literacy. We also have the learning support for mathematics. And of course, I think someone also asked about remedial. So our teachers, our subject teachers also look at remedial that may be needed for a specific group of children. It may not be long term, it may be just for a specific topic or for a specific period. And once your child is able to catch up, then that child will not be needed to come for the remedial. Okay, any response from any of my IP heads in response to 5 o'clock? There was a submission on additional support for SEN children. And of course, we have our SENOs, special educational needs officers, who do take on cases and work very closely with the students, identified students, and share strategies and tips with them. And we do pull them out as well, a small group to work with them. So if you have concerns for your child in particular, do get in touch with your form teacher or the subject teacher for that relevant subject. Anything else to add from my IP KP on the panel? No? Okay. One more question, perhaps, about the bookshop in the school. Okay. Okay, let me see. Okay, it's asking about primary 1 students who are used to a protected environment in a preschool. Okay, and then how to use money in a primary school. Okay, and yeah, so that's whether items like toys are being sold in the bookshop. We do communicate every now and then with our bookshop vendor and discourage them from selling toys, because then the use of money that's meant for meals, they may use it for buying toys. So we do monitor every now and then to give us feedback if there is a concern. Stationery, we cannot ban that. Our children will buy stationery. Do talk to your child and maybe give them tell them how much they can spend on stationery. I remember my son when he was in P1, and he was really excited about the bookshop, and he went to the bookshop, and suddenly he had this autonomy and power to buy things for his little sisters, and he was very thrilled about that. Yeah, but it didn't last long. It didn't go on for very long. It was a novelty, and he was exploring that autonomy that he had. So maybe you could engage your child on how much he or she can use to buy stationery, or maybe limit it to once a month they're allowed to use for buying of stationery. It's the same for sweet drinks, right? We have drinks that children can buy, and sometimes I do see children buying the bottled drinks or the packet drinks, although we only allow certain types of drinks to be sold with a healthy logo, right? Helping your child to plan out that, okay, how many times can I buy a packet drink in a week? Once a week, twice a week, for you to engage them. Yeah. Okay. I hope I have answered your question about the bookshop. Another last question, perhaps, on math. Math is easy, too easy. Okay, and he can actually complete his practice book very quickly and easily. Are there additional materials to provide challenge? This is Zheng, you're all ready. Come.
Thank you, Mrs. Goh. Okay, I guess your boy probably finds math very easy because we do go back to numbers to 10 to begin with at primary 1. So therefore, your child is able to complete the math practice book very easily, and that's great. Okay, so maybe I just want to explain a little bit that in class, we also go in depth into the concepts of the math that we teach. And we also do constantly engage in conversation with the child on mathematics around us and how we can apply it to our daily experiences. Okay, so maybe at home also, we would encourage parents to go in depth with the child on how we can apply math to our daily life. Okay, with regards to additional materials that could provide challenge, I would like to direct you to Qubits, which is the platform in which our school subscribes to, and all children have that account. So you could look out for the higher ability practices in the mission tab and encourage your child to try out those practices. Okay, so that's something that they could do at home to further challenge themselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Chung. We hope that we've answered your questions. And I want to thank all of you parents. Thank you for sending in the questions, be it earlier or through the Q&A chat. It's been quite a colorful myriad of questions that we had to answer, but we hope that it was helpful for you and you found the session beneficial. So we have come to the end of the Q&A session and the parents connection session. We hope that you will continue to engage us. If you do have any queries, remember the channels of communication that we've highlighted to you, to email us or to send in a query through the website. All right. Okay, with that, I'd like to invite all my panelists to switch on your video so that they can see your faces. Thank you so much to our panelists, as well as we have key personnel who are supporting the people who are responding to your questions and typing it out and responding to you personally, or manning our ICT team is also manning this whole session. So it takes really quite a big team of people to run this session and run it well. I'm very proud to say that Lakeside does it well, very professionally. I hope you enjoyed the session and will continue to engage us, and we'll be able to provide a wonderful and enjoyable and beneficial educational journey to your children. Thank you and have a good evening. Bye.